It's time for Great Moments in Liberal Foreign Policy.
And tonight's great moment is brought to you by the Anointed One himself, who appears to be finally acknowledging that even he cannot bring peace to the Middle East overnight. Now, in an interview with Time magazine, the president says, quote, "I think that we overestimated our ability to persuade them to do so when their politics ran contrary to that." He also said, quote, "If we had anticipated some of these political problems on both sides earlier, we might not have raised expectations as high." Now, wait a minute. The president didn't expect to encounter political problems when tackling the situation in the Middle East? Looks like amateur hour at the White House continues. And speaking of President Obama, the Anointed One, you may remember that after the tragic shooting at Fort Hood, he ordered the Pentagon to fully investigate the events leading up to that attack. And the military has now issued its final report. But you may be surprised to hear that it doesn't even mention the shooter, Major Nidal Hasan, by name, nor does it make any reference to Islamic extremism. So yesterday, during an Armed Services Committee hearing, several congressmen demanded answers from the officials who issued the report, particularly on how political correctness contributed to the attack.
Why didn't we at least ask the question in this report whether that political correctness kept any of the military personnel from applying their policies the way they would have done?
Now, that's a great question, Congressman, and I think the American people will be shocked to learn that this report ignores Major Hassan's ties to Islamic extremism. And the Senate Committee on Homeland Security yesterday held hearings on the attempted Christmas Day bombing, and some unbelievable information came out. Now, you may remember that the suspect is a Nigerian citizen with no clear right to a civilian trial here in the U.S. Nonetheless, the Department of Justice made an on-the-spot decision to grant Abdul Muttalib the privilege and threw away any right our intelligence community had to aggressively interrogate him. But apparently the administration didn't consult too many people before making that decision. Now, Director of National Intelligence Dennis Blair, Secretary of Homeland Security Janet Napolitano, and Director of the National Counterterrorism Center Michael Leiter testified at yesterday's hearing and made a shocking admission. Let's look at this.
I understand, Admiral Blair, that in response to Senator Collins, you were not consulted as to what venue the Christmas bomber would be tried in. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
How about you, Mr. Leiter?
No, I wasn't.
Secretary Napolitano?
No.
How careless and how unbelievable. And that is the news tonight from Hannity's America. Now, a situation in Cuba exposes Michael Moore's healthcare lies, and John Edwards finally fesses up. But are there more skeletons in his closet? We investigate. That's coming up next.